Hello, ladies and gentlemen, wandering the internet. I am FrogX. Today, we are doing TV show tier list. Yes, the long-awaited tier list that I've been waiting to do. I couldn't really find a good one that I really liked. Now, this one is interesting. Because there's like 113 shows, and I know I am a beta for not watching every single one of them, every season, every episode. I know that, but I couldn't really find any of them that had like some shows that I really liked that kind of aren't mainstream. So I had to roll with my punches. Okay, these are I know there's only like maybe 22 on here, but they're all great shows except for a couple which I will absolutely shit on. First up, we got 30 Rock. Now, I really like the first couple seasons, so I'll give it goods. Again, I don't know what this tier list is. I had to change some things too. This is haven't seen for all of these. AP Bio. It would be Top Gods. This tier list is really weird. It would be Top Gods, except they had a paywall for the last season. Like, the ending of the last season. There was a paywall for all of it. It's so stupid and infuriating. Okay, Malcolm in the Middle. This is another A tier. It's about a family who's really dysfunctional, and what's so great about it is they don't always work it out, which is just fun. It's great because it's not always predictable. And it's pretty funny. Okay, I really enjoy Malcolm in the Middle. Arrested Development. This is in my top tier. Actually, wait a minute. No, because they had their first 3 seasons are some of the best television I've ever seen in my entire life. They are jam-packed with jokes. They roll with their punches so much. It is just so good. If you have the time, it's on Netflix. Just watch the first 3 seasons and you'll know what I'm talking about. Because the last 2 they were kind of reboots and they kind of suck compared. Because they were just so intricately designed, the first 3 seasons. They're so good. Jason Bateman, I believe, is Michael, and he's hilarious. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. This show is hilarious. They roll with their punches too. They're jam-packed with really good, really funny jokes. It last season was awful. It just wasn't. It wasn't my favorite. By the way, I know what we're going with here. This is very funny. Haha, funny. I'm S tier comedian, ladies and gentlemen. Community! Dude, okay. So the reason Community gets S tier up with Brooklyn Nine-Nine is because they had the same situation as Arrested Development, where they kind of got canceled. They got canceled off their network, brought onto a streaming service, and Community, their season on a streaming service was really good. It was good. Season 6, by the way. I will be waiting so long until we get 6 seasons and a movie. The day I see 6 seasons and a movie is the day I cry again. I've cried since, but like it'll be a good day. We'll say that. So basically, it's just a bunch of people attending a college, and it's a wacky show that breaks the fourth wall. Their creator, Dan Harmon, is so good. He also writes for Rick and Morty, which is known for being just one of the most jam-packed shows of jokes and most complicated shows ever. So that's why Community gets top tier. Friends, this is so controversial. Now, I am younger than most of the people who watch this in its heyday. So, again, if I asked my dad or my mom to say, hey, how was Friends? They'd probably put it up here. But, again, I am personally a fan of 21st century comedies. And what I mean by that is less laugh tracks, So, actually, I do like period relevant jokes. Those are always pretty good. But again, you gotta remember, when you're filming in a studio, it's weeks in advance from the actual air date. So something isn't always relevant unless you are talking about a time period that was before, which I will talk about later because a couple of these shows are set in the past. Okay. Now we have Glee. Glee isn't a comedy, first off. I don't know why it slipped through here. It's solid. It's a drama show. It's I don't know. The drama is all kind of forced. This leads me to a point that I missed with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Their last season was kind of forced. The whole thing. I don't know. Their first 7 seasons are just so good. I don't know if I could put it down to A tier. I think I have to put it up there. Because their first 7 seasons were so good, but their last season, the plot just felt forced, and it definitely wasn't in its heyday anymore, which happens. This will happen with all of these shows, all of them. I guarantee it. It either has or it will. That's just what happens. I believe, I can't remember who because I'm not smart, but somebody made a video on like The Office, like the decline of The Office, and it was a great video. I will try and look it up and link it in this video because it's a fantastic video on basically when should it end. bro. Okay, so after the success of Friends, they wanted to make a spinoff. I mean, this happens all the time with a super popular show. I mean, they tried it with The Office, but it just didn't really materialize. Now it did with Joey. Now I like Matt LeBlanc as an actor, I really do, but this is it's not good. It's not great television. I think the reason Friends was so successful was it was a bunch of young people talking about things that you do as young people, and it was period relevant. You know, it was a great show. So. I'll bump it up to legendary because it really was. Personally, it's not for me, but I do understand, and the joke. I'll watch a couple episodes and the jokes land, and they're really good. And I'll watch a couple other episodes where the laugh. Okay, I had a bit of a technical difficulty. What was that? Oh, Friends. Friends is legendary. That's why it's in legend. Wait for it, dairy. Okay, again, kind of a weird joke, but I'll let it go in. That's cool with me. So Friends is an A tier. What's our next show? Last Man Standing. Okay, again, this isn't something this isn't for me. It's not a You Make Me Sick, and it's not a shit. It's a bad. Because, again, it's just not for me. It's not for me. You know, this is for someone who likes to just kind of like after dinner, kind of tuning it out after a long day, tuning like your life out, and you're just kind of watching some TV for a bit. That's what and it's also a perfect doctor's office show. Like, that's exactly what this show is great for. Okay, that's the only reason I would watch Last Man Standing now. The Goldbergs, again, it's one of those shows, it's past its heyday, and the real question is, when is it gonna end? It's on season 8 now. They've been past their prime since season 5. Some of the writing is dipped, and it used to be one of my favorite shows on television, and I'm not really a big network television guy anymore, at least, because I've discovered that older shows that kind of don't fit the mold of the, well, in my opinion, a lot of new network shows, they have a mold and they stick to it and they don't ever leave that mold. Also, the Goldbergs, their jokes are funny, and it's all set in the 80s, so the jokes are, you know what, it's funny to really, because they do emulate the period very well, I will say. And that's why they can have things that were very relevant at the time, they can have these in, because the show was about the 80s, so it's cool. But, so I like I do like the Goldbergs. It's in the Legendary because their first 5 seasons were very good. But season 5, by the way, is one of the funniest. It's one of the funniest seasons I've seen from a show in a long time. But again, it's very predictable, and the writing has dipped severely. Modern Family. The ending was fantastic, by the way. I really liked the ending of the show. It was great. I'll give it a good because I never really followed it like a lot of people did. It was one of those shows when it was on, I would watch it and I would record it and I would watch it later, because I followed it and I liked it, but I was never like it never came at me as one of those shows that I would really love after the fact, after when it was over, like I will with most of these shows that are in A tier and S tier. Okay, Mom. Yeah, this is I don't know if this is a laugh track or if it's a live studio or if it's a single camera or multi-camera. I'm assuming it's a multi-camera, but honestly, it's interesting. I haven't watched it in a while. They're funny. The jokes land. I'll give it regular over bad. It's not my favorite show. Parks and Rec. Okay, this is if someone had to bug me and ask me what's your favorite show of all time, it's gonna be Parks and Rec for sure. The wide cast of characters, they bounce off each other so well. Leslie, oh my gosh, she's a workaholic, which just lands in for some of the greatest jokes. My favorite character from this show has to be either Ron or Jerry, and it's just it's so good. It's so funny, especially when they hit their stride around season 3, season 4. When they brought Rob Lowe and Adam Scott in as... Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting their name. As their character names. Oh my gosh. Okay, but they brought Adam Scott and Rob Lowe in for the show. And it's so good. The characters bounce off each other so well. The jokes hit. And they have so many jokes. They have a lot of jokes, but their jokes are really good as well. And they're great, right? That's why I love that show. Also, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I know I've referenced this like 3-4 times. They have mastered the art of the innuendo. I know it's kind of a touchy subject, but they're so funny. Psych. Okay, Psych is also going up in the S tier. I just rewatched this again for like the 3rd or 4th time like this week. It's so good. It's so funny. It's a psychic detective show where this guy is faking being a psychic detective with his sidekick, Gus. It's so funny. Just watch it. It's on Netflix. It's hilarious. That's all I'm going to say. Seinfeld. Again, it's a multi-camera, so it's not my favorite. I know it's legendary as one of those. It went on for so long, and it was still good. At the end, well, maybe not at the end, but by most of it. But again, it's just not something I'm getting into. It's not something that I would sit down and watch an episode of and say, wow, that was awesome. And Friends, the reason Friends is above Seinfeld is Friends, I can do that. Friends, I can sit down and I can watch a random episode because they replay them on Comedy Central all the time. And we'll talk about that with The Office as well. They play them on Comedy Central all the time, and it's just I'll sit down and watch a Friends episode and be like, oh, that was really funny. Seinfeld, I don't really get that vibe. It's just not for me. It's not my show. Superstore is a newer show. It is a network show, and I do like this show. So it does break the mold a bit. It's not legendary, but it's also Goldberg isn't legendary. It's just something I really love. It's in the goods tier. Again, this is a really weird tier list. Okay. Big Bang Theory. Yeah, this instantly goes in the you make me sick tier. Again, it's just nerds doing nerdy things. Again, I'm saying again way too many times. I'm not gonna touch on this because there are so many people that have talked about why this show is not very good. Okay, the long pauses in between jokes. It's just a quiet show. It's not my favorite. And the spinoff, you know what? While we're on this topic, we'll get to Young Sheldon. Young Sheldon might even be worse some of the jokes are good. I will admit, some of the jokes are good. But, man, the Sheldon joke, they're so cringy, and it's just not... They're cringy, and then the plot moves along. It either moves along really slowly or just really cringy. It's not a good show. It could very well be worse than the original. And again, I'm not going to talk about either of these shows very much because they're actually Young Sheldon. I know I just bashed it, but I'll put it up to the shit tier instead of the you make me sick. Yeah, Young Sheldon is it's just not my favorite. It's not a good show by any means. The Good Place. A creative show, really creative. So for that, I'll have to give it Legendary. Actually, I'm going to change this from Legendary to just A tier. Because, again, these shows aren't like Legendary. Because Legendary would be up here. Let's go to... I think the person who made this was a little too... I think he wanted to break the mold of the tier list, okay? Like, these are all fine. Actually, this one I added. So, but whatever. The It Crowd. Again, I only watched a couple episodes of this because I don't really like multi-cameras, but it was pretty funny. The one episode, season 2, episode 1, where all the plot lines are just tangled in and out, where they think they're going to like a gay show. It's literally called The Gay Play. They think this girl's like boyfriend is gay or something because he literally took her and the whole group to a play called The Gay Show. It's super funny. It's a little dated, I will admit, but it's still really funny. I'll have to give it an 8. Again, I haven't watched too much of it, but it's at least in the goods tier. And if I were to ever do this again, it might be bumped up if I watch the whole series. The Middle. Again, this is a network show. It's a single camera, so that's interesting. That's good. And I know a lot of people don't like this. Don't like... shows like this, but I think it's an A tier. I think it's really creative. Again, they have a large set of characters that all kind of flow off of each other really well. And there's a theme here that there's a theme between all these shows. They all have a lot of the shows that I really enjoy, except for the It Crowd, because that might be the outlier. Most of them have a large cast of characters that bounce off each other really well, except for Psych. Psych is... Most of the jokes are really just going through Sean and Gus, honestly. That's why that show is so good, because they can make two characters carry the show comedically, which is just very impressive. 30 Rock, I've already touched on this. I already said right, 30 Rock is really good. I like 30 Rock, but it's just not in that A tier for me. The first 2 or 3 seasons are fantastic. They're really good. The first episode where Tracy Morgan says to Tina Fey, "Liz Lemon, are you Liz Lemon?" It's just the way he says it is hilarious. It's amazing. I love that episode, and I love that show. Now, The Office. It's not my favorite show of all time. That is Parks and Rec. But gosh darn if I admit that it is a fantastic show and it's in my top 3. Number 1 for me would be Parks and Rec. Number 2 would probably be Psych. And number 3 would be The Office. Because it's a wide cast of characters that flow off of each other so well. But the real question was, again, it's so good, but the ending is just, it's not. And again, I am not qualified to touch on this because I'm not someone who's analyzed TV and is, actually good at this sort of stuff. I'm just a guy who really likes watching TV, and I can break it down well enough to get by. Okay, so here's our tier list for the top comedy shows. If any of these shows that you guys really like are on the haven't seen list, just let me know and I'll watch them for a recommendation, because I'm looking for some new shows to watch because I have no life. All right, thank you for watching another video from Mr. Frog X Man. And thank you and goodbye.